My husband left quietly. Then his girlfriend posted him online. When our daughter asked, "Did Daddy forget me?" I lied. Months later, the hospital called. "She has no legal rights," the doctor said. Then I realized his worst mistake was never signing the divorce. But it didn't start in a hospital. It started with the front door. Jason stood by the doorway with 2 suitcases beside him. He wouldn't look at me. His phone was in his hand, face down, like even that little black screen was hiding something from me. Our daughter, Anna, was at a birthday party down the street. She had left that afternoon excited about cake, balloons, and whatever little dramas 7-year-olds treat like world events. She had no idea her father was packing his life while she was gone. I asked him, "Are you really doing this right now?" Jason rubbed his forehead like I was exhausting him. "I just need space, Amanda." Space. That was the word he used. Not divorce. Not separation. Not I met someone else. Just space, like he was going to stay somewhere for a few nights and come back when his head cleared. But there was something too calm about him. Too prepared. His clothes were folded. His chargers were packed. His shoes were already tucked into the side pocket of the suitcase. No one leaves that neatly unless they already have somewhere to go. I asked, "Is there someone else?" He finally looked at me, but only for half a second. No. It was the worst lie he had ever told me, because he didn't even try to make it sound real. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab the suitcase and throw it across the room. I wanted to ask him how long, who she was, and whether he thought about Anna at all while he was building this other life. But I couldn't get the words out. He picked up the bags and said, "I'll call later." Then he left. I stood in the hallway long after the door closed. The house felt too quiet. Not peaceful. Empty. Like something had been removed and the walls hadn't adjusted yet. Then I wiped my face, grabbed my keys, and picked up my daughter. When Anna climbed into the car, she was sticky from frosting and still talking about the party. "Daddy home?" I kept both hands on the steering wheel. "Not yet, baby." That was my first lie for him. 2 days later, I found out where he went. Not from him. Not from a friend who cared enough to warn me privately. From a public video. His girlfriend, Christine, posted a clip from a luxury apartment near downtown. She was holding a glass of wine, filming the skyline, laughing like she had won something. And behind her, sitting on a white couch, was my husband. Barefoot. Smiling. Wearing the gray hoodie I bought him for Christmas. The caption said, "New chapter." I stared at the screen until the video replayed. Then again. Then again. He hadn't left to find himself. He had left because someone else had already made room for him. I didn't know much about Christine then, only that she was younger, loud online, and loved posting every expensive thing she touched. Her life looked polished in the way social media makes everything look polished when a camera is pointed at it. Jason fit right into it. He looked lighter in her videos. Like a man who had thrown his family off his back and discovered he could float. At home, Anna kept asking for him. At first, it was every night. "Is Daddy coming tomorrow? Can I call him? Did he forget bedtime?" I would sit on the edge of her bed and smooth her hair until my hand hurt. "He's busy tonight. He'll call soon. He loves you." That last one always tasted bitter. Because maybe he did love her. Maybe, in his own selfish way, he loved being her dad. But he did not love her enough to show up when showing up became inconvenient. After a few weeks, Anna stopped waiting at the window. That hurt worse than the waiting. Waiting meant she still believed him. Stopping meant she was learning. One night, she walked into the kitchen while I was washing dishes and asked, "Did Daddy leave because I cried too much?" I turned the faucet off so fast water splashed across my shirt. "No," I said, kneeling in front of her. "No, Anna. Never. This is not because of you." Her chin started shaking. "Then why doesn't he miss me?" I pulled her into my arms because I had no answer that wouldn't break something inside her. After she fell asleep, I sat on the bathroom floor and cried into a towel so she wouldn't hear me. That was the night I stopped waiting for Jason to become decent. I didn't know it yet, but the quiet click of that front door was not the end of my marriage. It was the beginning of a war. When I filed for divorce, I thought the worst part was behind me. I thought Jason would be embarrassed. Maybe not sorry, but embarrassed enough to handle things fairly. We had a child. We had a house. We had years of shared bills, shared plans, and shared memories, even if he had decided to treat them like trash. I thought we would divide things, create a schedule for Anna, set support, and move on. Jason had a different plan. The first time my lawyer, Edward, sent over paperwork, Jason ignored it. The second time, his lawyer responded weeks later with a letter so cold it felt like it had been written by someone who had never met a real family. Suddenly, Jason's money was complicated. Bonuses disappeared. Accounts changed. Expenses appeared out of nowhere. The same man paying for downtown rent, new clothes, trips, and expensive dinners was suddenly acting like helping support his daughter would ruin him. Edward looked tired the day he explained it to me. He's delaying on purpose. I sat across from him, gripping a paper cup of coffee that had gone cold. I know he's delaying. But why? Edward leaned forward. Because delay costs money. Every unanswered email, every missed deadline, every incomplete document means another filing, another hearing, another bill. He knows you're paying the mortgage and taking care of Anna. If he makes this expensive enough, he thinks you'll settle for less. I stared at him. So, he's trying to make me too broke to fight? Edward didn't dress it up. Yes. That was the first time I understood Jason wasn't just leaving me. He was punishing me for not disappearing quietly. The next few months became a blur of bills and humiliation. I worked, picked Anna up from school, made dinner, helped with homework, answered legal emails, checked the bank account, and pretended I wasn't terrified. Jason missed support payments he had agreed to temporarily. He canceled one joint card without warning. He took money from an account that was supposed to help cover the house. When I texted him, "Anna needs new school shoes," he replied, "Maybe spend less on lawyers." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I screenshot it. That became a habit. Every message, every missed visit, every excuse, every cruel little sentence he probably thought I would delete when I calmed down. I saved everything. Jason kept appearing in Christine's posts. Their apartment, their restaurants, their weekend trips. Him smiling beside her like a man living a second life without consequences. Then the school called one afternoon because Anna had started crying during a class activity. They were making family drawings. She drew me, herself, and the house. Then she asked if she was supposed to draw her dad too. I drove there as fast as I could. When I arrived, Anna was sitting in the office with red eyes, swinging her legs under the chair. She looked embarrassed when she saw me. "I didn't know what to draw," she whispered. I sat beside her and said, "You can draw whatever feels true." She looked down at her hands. "That's sad." I kissed the top of her head. "I know." That night, I emailed Edward another folder of screenshots. He replied with one line, "Keep documenting." So I did. I documented until my anger became organized. Then Christine made a mistake. The message came from a burner account. No picture. No followers. Just one message. It was a screenshot of her and Jason beside a resort pool. He had sunglasses on and a drink in his hand. She was leaning against him with a smug little smile that made my stomach twist. Under the picture, she wrote, "He's never signing anything. Stop acting like his wife when he picked me." I didn't reply. I wanted to. My hands were shaking so badly I almost did. I wanted to say, "If he picked you, why is he still legally married to me?" But Edward's voice was already in my head. "Do not respond." So I forwarded it to him instead. He called me 5 minutes later. "Is this from her?" "I'm almost sure." "Save the account. Save the timestamp. Save everything." I let out a bitter laugh. "Is it useful?" "It shows pressure. It shows they know he's delaying." "Keep it." Christine thought she had taunted me. She had actually handed me evidence. But even with evidence, the process dragged. Jason missed another deadline. His lawyer blamed scheduling issues. Then another missing document. Then another excuse. Meanwhile, my savings shrank. I cut everything I could. No takeout. No extras. No new clothes for me. I sold jewelry I hadn't worn in years. I picked up extra hours when I could. One night, after paying another legal invoice, I sat in the dark at the kitchen table and thought, he is going to win. Not because he was right. Because he had more money to be wrong longer. That was the cruelest part. People talk about divorce like it is two people sitting across a table dividing what they built. They don't talk about what happens when one person turns the table into a weapon. Jason knew I was tired. He knew Anna needed stability. He knew every delay made me more desperate. Then, right when I felt like I was running out of ways to survive him, the phone rang. At 2:17 in the morning. I woke up confused, reaching blindly for my phone on the nightstand. The screen showed a hospital number. My stomach dropped before I answered. "Hello." A woman's voice asked, "Is this Amanda?" "Yes." "Are you legally married to Jason?" I sat up. "Why?" There was a pause. The kind of pause people use when they are about to say something that will split your night open. I'm calling from the hospital. Your husband was brought in earlier tonight after a serious cardiac event. He is in the ICU. He is stable, but he is not able to make decisions right now. For a moment, I couldn't speak. My first feeling was not revenge. It was shock. Because no matter what Jason had done, he was still Anna's father. He was still the man who once held my hand during an ultrasound. He was still someone I had loved before he became someone I barely recognized. The nurse continued, "We need to confirm next of kin." I looked toward Anna's room. "Is he going to be okay? I can't discuss full details over the phone. But you should come in." I got dressed without really knowing what I was putting on. Then I texted Cynthia, my neighbor, and asked if she could stay in the house while Anna slept. She called immediately. "What happened?" "It's Jason. He's in the hospital." There was silence, then a careful question. "Do you want me to come over?" "Yes, please." Within 15 minutes, Cynthia was at my door in a hoodie and slippers, holding her keys in one hand. She hugged me quickly. "Go. I've got Anna." The drive felt unreal. The streets were dark and almost empty. Every red light felt too long. I kept thinking about Anna waking up and asking where I was. Then I kept thinking about Jason lying in a hospital bed with machines around him. I hated him. I was furious with him. But I did not want Anna to lose her father. That truth sat beside all the anger, uncomfortable and heavy. When I reached the ICU waiting room, I heard Christine before I saw her. She was at the nurse's station, crying and yelling at the same time. "You don't understand. I live with him. I'm his partner. You have to let me back there." A nurse kept her voice calm. "Ma'am, we cannot release information without proper authorization." Christine slapped her hand on the counter. "I said I'm his partner." Then she saw me. Her whole face changed. The crying stopped. The panic turned into rage so fast it almost scared me. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. I didn't answer. She stepped toward me. "No, absolutely not. You don't get to come in here and act like the wife now." Something inside me went still. "I am his wife. You're his ex." "No," I said. "I'm not." That was when the doctor came through the secure doors. She looked exhausted but composed, holding a chart in one hand. "Are you Amanda?" "Yes. I'm Dr. Angela." We spoke through the nurse. Christine cut in. "I'm the person he lives with. She's just dragging out a divorce." Dr. Angela looked at me. "Do you have identification?" I handed her my driver's license. Then I opened my phone and pulled up the digital copy of our marriage certificate, the same document Jason had treated like it meant nothing. Dr. Angela reviewed it quietly. Then she turned to the security guard standing near the hallway. "This is his legal spouse. She is the point of contact. The other visitor is not authorized for the ICU at this time." Christine's mouth opened. "What?" The nurse spoke gently. "Ma'am, you'll need to step away." Christine pointed at me, her voice shaking. "You are disgusting. He doesn't want you here. He chose me." I looked at her for the first time that night. Then he should have signed the divorce. Security guided her away while she shouted that I was bitter, that I was using a technicality, that Jason would hate me for this. Maybe he would. But for the first time in over a year, the technicality was not hurting me. It was protecting me. Dr. Angela led me through the double doors. Jason looked smaller than I expected. Not weak in a satisfying way. Just human. Pale. Still. Connected to monitors. His face looked different without the smugness, without the performance, without Christine's camera nearby. I stood beside the bed and didn't know what to feel. Dr. Angela explained what had happened in careful, measured language. Serious. Sudden. Stabilized. More tests needed. He was sedated but not beyond hope. I listened. I asked questions. I gave the information I had. I did not interfere with his care. I did not make threats. I did not do anything dramatic. I sat in a hard chair beside the bed until the sky outside turned gray. And as I sat there, one thought kept circling back. Jason had spent 14 months using our unfinished divorce to control me. Now, the only reason I was standing in that room was because he had refused to finish it. At 7 in the morning, I stepped into the hallway and called Edward. His voice was rough with sleep. "Amanda, Jason is in the ICU." There was a pause. "Is he alive?" "Yes." "Stable, but sedated." "Are you okay?" I looked through the glass at Jason's still body. "No, but I need you to listen." I told him everything. The call. Christine. The hospital. The fact that I was still the legal spouse. Edward was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Do not do anything impulsive." "I'm not." "Good. But I want the final settlement ready. Another pause. Amanda. He is delayed for over a year. He has hidden money, ignored deadlines, drained accounts, and let his girlfriend mock me for still being his wife. I'm done. Edward exhaled slowly. If he is medically cleared and competent, we can present documents. But everything has to be clean. No pressure about his medical care. No threats. No signing while impaired. He needs to understand what he's signing. I know. Then I'll prepare the papers. I looked back at Jason. For months, he had counted on me breaking. Instead, I opened my bag and made room for the documents that would end his game. Jason woke up slowly 2 days later. By then, his condition was improving. He was still weak and frightened, but he could speak, understand, and answer questions. Dr. Angela made it clear that if anything legal happened, it needed to be handled properly. I agreed. That mattered. I wanted the divorce finished. I wanted the house secure. I wanted support for Anna locked in. But I did not want anything done in a way he could twist later. So I waited. Christine kept calling the hospital. She tried sending messages through nurses. She showed up twice and was turned away because Jason had not authorized her yet and the hospital had limited visitors. When he finally asked about her, the nurse said only, "She has called." He looked at me after that. His voice was hoarse. "You kept her out." "No," I said. "The hospital followed the law." He swallowed and looked away. "You enjoyed it." I enjoyed knowing the law mattered for once. He closed his eyes. For a few seconds, I saw the old Jason. Not because he looked kind, but because he looked afraid. Fear stripped him down. No apartment. No girlfriend filming him. No lawyer delaying for sport. Just a man in a hospital bed realizing avoidance had finally cornered him. Edward came that afternoon. He did not storm in like some movie lawyer. He came quietly, carrying a folder and wearing the same serious expression he wore every time he had to tell me bad news. This time, the news was different. He spoke with the hospital's social worker first. Then a mobile notary arrived. Jason was asked if he understood where he was, what day it was, who he was speaking to, and whether he wanted his lawyer contacted. He said yes. So his lawyer, Brandon, was called. That part mattered too. Brandon joined by phone and, even through the speaker, I could hear his frustration. "Jason, you are not required to sign anything today." Jason stared at the ceiling. Edward stayed calm. "That's true. These are the same settlement terms we have been discussing, adjusted for delayed support, missing funds, and documented noncompliance. If this proceeds to court, we will request a full review of financial conduct." Brandon snapped. "That is an aggressive position." Edward replied, "It is a documented one." Jason looked at me then. For the first time in over a year, he looked like he understood I had not just been crying in the dark. I had been building a file. A complete one. I stepped closer to the bed. "I'm not here to hurt you," I said. "I'm here because you left me no clean way out." Jason's jaw tightened. "You're doing this now? You did this for 14 months. He looked away. I continued, keeping my voice low. "You drained money from our home. You delayed support. You missed deadlines. You let me pay for Anna's life while you pretended you couldn't afford her. Christine sent me messages bragging that you would never sign." His face changed. "She did what?" Edward opened the folder and placed printed screenshots on the side table. Jason stared at them. For once, he had no answer ready. I said, "I won't interfere with your medical care. I won't use Anna as a weapon. But I am done letting you use this unfinished divorce to control my life." Jason's eyes were wet, though I couldn't tell if it was pain, fear, or humiliation. "What do you want?" "The house stays with me and Anna. Support follows the court calculation. The missing money is accounted for. My retirement stays mine. You get what is fair after what you already took." He looked at Edward. "And if I don't sign?" Edward answered, "Not me. Then we go back to court with the delays, financial records, messages, and documentation. The judge decides." Brandon said through the phone, "Jason, I need to review the numbers again." Jason closed his eyes. Nobody spoke for a moment. The room was filled with quiet hospital sounds. The soft beep of a monitor. The hum of air conditioning. The shuffle of someone walking past in the hall. Then Jason said, "Give me the pen." Brandon immediately said, "Jason." I said, "Give me the pen." The notary stepped forward and confirmed again that he understood what he was signing. Jason answered each question clearly. Then he signed. Not quickly. Not dramatically. His hand shook a little. He had to pause twice. But he signed every page. I watched the pen move across lines he had avoided for over a year. and I felt something inside me loosen. Not joy. Relief. The kind that hurts because your body doesn't know how to let go all at once. When it was done, the notary stamped the documents. Edward gathered them carefully. Jason looked at me. You waited until I was trapped. I shook my head. No. I waited until you couldn't run. His eyes hardened. That's the same thing. Maybe to you. I picked up my bag. But Anna and I have been trapped since the day you walked out. He didn't answer. As I reached the door, he said my name. I turned. For one strange second, I thought he might apologize. Instead, he whispered, Christine won't forgive you for this. That was when I finally smiled. Jason, Christine was never the person I needed forgiveness from. Then I walked out with the signed papers in my bag. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks later. Not with shouting. Not with some dramatic courtroom scene. Just papers, signatures, legal language, and a judge who looked through the file with the tired expression of someone who had seen too many people use money as punishment. The agreement held. The house stayed with me and Anna. Jason was ordered to pay support based on the proper calculation, not the fantasy version of his income he had tried to create on paper. The money he had taken from shared accounts was addressed in the settlement. Some of what he might have claimed from the house was offset by what he owed and what he had already done. It wasn't a miracle. It was math. Expensive, exhausting, brutal math. But it meant Anna stayed in her room. Same bed. Same school. Same backyard. Same glow-in-the-dark stars on her ceiling. That mattered more than anything. The first night after the divorce was final, I made spaghetti because it was Anna's favorite. She sat at the table swinging her legs and asked, Does this mean Daddy is gone forever? I put the bowl down carefully. No, I said. It means grown-up things are settled now. Will he still see me? If he chooses to show up, yes. She stirred her noodles. What if he doesn't? I sat across from her. Then I will still be here. She nodded like that answer was enough. For now, it had to be. Jason recovered, but not all at once. He left the hospital weaker than he expected. He needed follow-up care. He couldn't jump back into his old life immediately. After the divorce, he was no longer on my insurance, and the costs he had ignored in everyone else's life started landing in his. Medical bills. Legal bills. Rent. Missed work. Support payments. Debt from the lifestyle he used to pretend he could afford. The luxury apartment didn't last. Christine's posts changed first. Jason disappeared from her feed. Then the apartment balcony disappeared. Then the captions about forever became quotes about choosing yourself. A mutual acquaintance told me Christine moved out quietly. No dramatic breakup post. No public explanation. Just gone. Apparently, love looked different without the view. Jason moved into a small studio. I only knew because the support paperwork updated his address. I didn't drive by. I didn't need to see it. I had already seen enough. Then came the messages. His family found out what happened at the hospital. Not the full truth, of course. Jason told the version where I appeared at his weakest moment with divorce papers and took everything. His sister texted me first. You should be ashamed of yourself. Then his mother. He was sick. You used that. Then old friends. Even if he cheated, that was cold. You went too far. He could have fought back if he wasn't in the hospital. I read every message. I answered none of them. Because what could I say? That he was awake? That a notary was there? That his lawyer was on the phone? That no one forced him? That the terms were based on the same facts he had spent months trying to bury? People believe the version that lets them stay comfortable. For his family, it was easier to believe I became cruel than to admit Jason had been cruel first. Cynthia came over one evening with coffee and found me sitting on the porch, staring at my phone. Still getting messages? I nodded. She sat beside me. Do you regret it? I looked toward the backyard. Anna's swing set was still there. One of the yellow seats was crooked because Jason had promised to fix it before he left and never did. I fixed it myself the next weekend. No, I said. Cynthia didn't push. She just sat beside me while the sun dropped behind the fence and the house behind us glowed warm through the kitchen window. The truth is, I have replayed that hospital room more times than I will ever admit out loud. Jason's face. The pen in his hand. The way he looked at me like I had become someone he didn't know. Maybe I had. But he changed me long before that hospital. He changed me every time he let Anna wait by the window. Every time he hid money and called it strategy. Every time he watched me struggle and acted like I was the problem. Every time he let Christine mock me for being the wife he refused to legally release. So yes, when the law finally put me in the one position he couldn't ignore, I used it. Not to hurt him. To end it. I did not make Jason cheat. I did not make him abandon his daughter. I did not make him delay the divorce. I did not make him hide money, drain accounts, ignore deadlines, or turn our child's stability into a negotiation tactic. All I did was stop playing helpless when the rules finally worked in my favor. Some people say I crossed a line. Maybe I did. But that line was drawn around a house my daughter still sleeps in. Around the school she still walks into every morning. Around the backyard where she still plays without knowing how close we came to losing everything. Jason wanted me exhausted enough to sign away our future. Instead, he accidentally stayed married long enough for me to protect it. A few nights ago, Anna asked if we could put new flowers by the porch. She said the front of the house looked sad. So we bought a small pot of yellow flowers and planted them together. She got dirt on her hands and laughed when I accidentally spilled water on my shoes. For the first time in a long time, the house didn't feel like a battlefield. It just felt like ours. I know there are people who will always think I was heartless. Maybe there is no clean way to win against someone who fights dirty. But when I lock the door at night and hear that same soft click that once broke me, it doesn't sound like an ending anymore. It sounds like peace. So I'll ask honestly. Did I cross a line when I made him finally face the divorce he used to punish me, or did I only do what I had to do to protect my daughter?